Vukenjani Klekwa Setitano Nalika Leliwa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashin Berry and Aina Raiza Kweyo. How are you, Aina?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Awesome. In today's broadcast, here are our top stories. Kenya to send 1,500 farm workers to Israel amid Hamas war. In Mozambique, the state has received 16.5 million US dollars this year from UN Emergency Response Fund. And Development Bank head at COP28 urges African exemption from EU carbon tax. You can catch all our programs on our website, which is called oneup2.com, or on DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Later on in the show, we have Mike Sichula all the way from Zambia, who is going to tell us what is happening at that other side. We will be right back shortly. Stay with us.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 150.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into our top stories, Kenya is sending 1,500 farm workers to Israel. The Labour Ministry has said the announcement comes nearly 2 weeks after Malawi sent 221 young people to work on Israeli farms, triggering a backlash against the government. The casual workers will be deployed on 3-year renewable contracts with a guaranteed net income of $1,500, the Labour Ministry added. Israel has turned to Africa to fill a severe labor gap on its farms after a mass exit of foreign workers. More than 10,000 migrant farm workers, mostly Italian nationals, have left Israel since the start of the war with Hamas in early October. Israel has also barred Palestinian workers who made up nearly 20% of the agricultural labor force prior to the war. Israel's agriculture ministry told CNN last week that the country needed 30,000 to 40,000 farm workers.
Mozambique state has received $16.5 million this year from UN Emergency Response Fund. Mozambique has received $16.5 million this year from the UN Central Emergency Response Fund to mitigate the effects of cyclones, floods, cholera, and to support victims of terrorist attacks. It was announced on Wednesday. We are convinced that all of us together doing our part will overcome adversity, said Mozambique's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation Veronica Macamo, speaking today at the CERF high-level event to mobilize event funds for 2024 at UN headquarters in New York. United Nations figures released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation indicate that since the creation of CERF in 2006, Mozambique has received more than 122 million US dollars for humanitarian activities in the country. The latest of these grants was awarded by CERF last September with 6.5 million US dollars for humanitarian aid to Mozambique. Just to illustrate, most recently Cyclone Freddy alone, which hit Mozambique this year, affected around 1.3 million people, causing around 300 deaths, approximately 800 injuries, in addition to extensive damage to economic and social infrastructure in a context in which the country is still reeling from the devastating effects of Cyclone Idai, which occurred in 2019.
Now, African countries should be exempt from a plan by the European Union to impose a carbon tax on some imports, the head of the African Development Bank told Reuters, putting the cost of the levy to the continent at as much as $25 billion a year. Under the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which comes into force from 2026, imports of cement, iron, steel, aluminium, and fertilizers would be taxed if they originate from countries with less onerous carbon emissions rules. African countries are relying on fossil fuels as they increase energy production to serve growing populations and as they seek to manufacture more in order to export higher value products, although renewable energy investment has increased.
The United States on Wednesday formally determined that warring parties in Sudan committed war crimes, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, as Washington increases pressure on the army and paramilitary rapid support forces to end fighting that has caused a humanitarian crisis. Washington also determined that the RSF and allied militias committed crimes against humanity and ethnic cleansing, Blinken said in a statement. The fighting, which broke out mid-April, has displaced more than 6.5 million inside and outside Sudan, killed more than 10,000 and disseminated the economy. The expansion of the needless conflict between RFS and SAF has urged grievous human suffering, Blinken said, referring to the Sudanese armed forces. He called on the parties to stop this conflict now and comply with their obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law and hold accountable those responsible for atrocities.
Now in the UK, Robert Jenrick has resigned as immigration minister, saying the government's emergency Rwanda legislation does not go far enough. He said stronger protections were needed to end the merry-go-round of legal challenges which risk paralyzing the scheme. The government said the bill unveiled earlier made clear in UK law Rwanda was a safe country for asylum seekers. But it stops short of what some on the Tory right were demanding. In his resignation letter to Rishi Sunak, Jenrick said the Prime Minister had moved towards my position on the emergency legislation. Nevertheless, I am unable to take the currently proposed legislation through the Commons as I do not believe it provides us with the best possible chance of success, he said. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
All right, let's talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia. Mike, how are you?
Oh, thank you. Africa, good morning.
Africa, good morning indeed. Now, police have detained a man who sent 3 young boys to get fresh sand from a grave with which he made charms and made them drink. Elaborate on that.
All right. So, brief facts of the matter that on December 20th, 2023, the 3 boys, the suspect, who is the traditional doctor, engaged the 4 boys at his house to remove grass in the yard and never agreed the amount to pay them. So when the boys went to inquire about how much they should be paid, he told them that he was not going to pay them, but he could make charms that would make them to be powerful amongst their friends. So one of the instructions he gave them, that is the following day on December 1, he told the boys to go to the grave and also get fresh sand. Then when they should be coming, they should come with a shoelace so that he could make charms. So he did make some charms out of the sand they got from the grave, and told them that they should be drinking and also bathing the same from the graveyard. And it was at that point that one of the boys did inform the mother, and the mother, that's when the other boys were involved. So the boys are aged between 9 and 13. So that is when one of the parents informed the other parents who were involved, and they took the suspect to the police, and the police have since arrested him, and they have instituted investigations.
All right, Master Sichula, moving on, can you please give us an update on the rescue mission of trapped miners at the mine on the Copperbelt province?
Yeah, the rescue mission is still ongoing. What has happened is that this week they did manage to rescue alive a 49-year-old man whom they found after 5 days when the mine collapsed. Then just the other day, they also rescued somebody, but unfortunately, he was dead, and he has since been buried because he was found in a very decomposed state. But the rescue mission has still continued. The exact number of people that are trapped are not yet known, but close to 25 families have come forth claiming their members missing, and President Hakainde Hichilema also visited the site. Then also the people that are involved in the rescue mission have continued to be there. Then the community, the district officer in the same region have engaged about 400 youths to help with the rescue of their colleagues. So it is yet to be determined as how many people were trapped on that fateful day. But the rescue mission seems to be making some ground to ensure that they can rescue some people alive, just like the 49-year-old man who was rescued alive.
All right, now in politics, faction leader of the Patriotic Front has expelled 9 members of parliament. Tell us more.
Yes, Mr. Mao Sampa is the nephew to late President Michael Sata, and because of what is being called an illegal conversion, he has assumed the presidency of the party to usurp powers of former President Edgar Lungu, who was still the party president. So over the years, over the weeks, the matter has been going to court back and forth. Then just recently, this week, he did expel 9 members of parliament. That's him there on the right, on the left, Mr. Mao Sampa, with former Vice President on the left, Mr. Guy Scott. So the expulsion of the 9 members of the parliament simply means that under the Constitution of Zambia, we are supposed to have 9 by-elections. But this matter has since been challenged in the courts of law, and it is expected that the courts of law must determine whether the expulsion of the 9 members of parliament is legal or illegal. Because according to the people that are involved, they are saying Mr. Mao Sampa does not have any powers to expel them.
All right, Mr. Sichula, moving over to our next story. In sports, Zambia beat Namibia to emerge as the 2023 Netball Champions of Africa. Tell us about this exciting news.
Well, it is exciting news for the Zambia Netball Association, considering that in some cases they have been coming almost near misses in terms of winning any major trophy. So this has proved that they are worth in continental netball by beating Namibia's Desert Jewelers 57-55 in the extra time to win the 2023 Africa Netball Cup final in Namibia. This match, I must say, was highly competitive. Zambia was almost looked not to have a chance against the Namibian ladies, but they did manage to pull through something that is for their first time that they have managed to win a major continental trophy. And a lot of congratulatory messages have come from the president, from the Netball Association of Zambia, the Football Association of Zambia, and many Zambians are excited that the team has finally won a major continental tournament.
Certainly good news for the team. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us those stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much, Africa. Good morning. Do have a lovely weekend.
We certainly hope to do so, and that starts by checking out the weather predictions.
To another exciting episode of Pirongo Talk. We bring jou lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle mondstuk gaan byt.
Getting into economic news, France's third biggest listed bank has agreed to sell two African subsidiaries, Société Générale Burkina Faso and Banco Société Générale Mozambique, to Pan-African banking group's Vista Group, it said on Thursday. The move comes on top of the already announced sale of four other African businesses in Congo, Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, Mauritania, and Chad. The retreat from Africa was the first decision taken by CEO Swalwomir Krupa to sharpen the bank's use of capital.
Nigeria aims to build Africa's largest e-bus fleet. Nigeria aims to have the largest fleet of electric public transport buses in Africa, a minister has told the COP28 summit. Foreign Affairs Minister Youssef Touga made the comments after President Bola Tinubu told the UN conference hosted by the United Arab Emirates that Nigeria plans to roll out 100 electric buses. Quoted by local media, Master Touga said on Tuesday, Nigeria is on track to deploy 100 electric buses next year, with plans to increase to 1,000 e-buses, aiming to become the country with the largest electric mass transit fleet in Africa.
We're going to head to the economic indicators just before Ari Hohad shows up with the sport.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It's football news from the English Premier League, midweek games that continue to be played, and the big news from the English Premier League is that the Manchester City lost to Aston Villa. The score there was 1-0 and that game was played at Aston Villa. That means that Manchester City, the defending champions, are now 6 points behind the leaders Arsenal. Arsenal after 15 games have 36 points, and then it is Manchester City in number 4 position. They haven't been there for quite a while, and they've got 30 points at the moment. It's Liverpool that moved into second position. They've got 34 league points after 15 games, and that was after they beat Sheffield United at home by 2-0. Also, Manchester United making up some ground. They're now in the 6th position. They beat Chelsea at home, and the score there was 2-1. They've got 27 league points. Last year also it was Manchester City that was late in the season 8 points behind Arsenal. So news from the club is that it's a concern for them, their form at the moment, but not a crisis yet. They came back to win the English Premier League and also win the FA Cup and also the Champions League to win the treble. So Manchester City still one of the favourites to win the league. Moving on to golf news, and it is one of the big 3 tournaments being played in South Africa at the moment, the third one of the 3. Last weekend it was a South African Open with Dean Burmeister winning that. Now it's a chance of the Alfred Daniel tournament being played at Leopard Creek Country Club, and some of the first round scores already in. It is Robin Williams. He is from England. He came in with a score of 7 under par. He's leading early leader in the clubhouse. Many players still to complete their first round, and some of the other players I can mention, South Africans that completed their first round, is Jaden Schaefer, 6 under par, and then Charles Schwartzel 4 under par, also Louis Oosthuizen 2 under par, and then Dean Burmeister that won the South African Open last weekend, still in good form. He came in with a first round of 3 under par. That's the Alfred Daniel tournament being played at Leopard Creek Country Club. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is rugby news. It's rugby news from Europe. It is La Rousselle's coach. It is Ronan O'Gara that's been given a touchline ban, and that is for Sunday's Investec Champions Cup game against Leinster, and that is the old Heineken Cup. And it is because of bad behaviour from the coach Ronan O'Gara that was against Racing 92. It is the 5th time that O'Gara got a suspension while being the coach of La Rochelle. That adds up to 21 weeks of punishment. So he's definitely getting a reputation for bad behaviour as a coach next to the field. The Sunday's game between La Rochelle and Leinster will be a repeat of the final of the previous season of the Champions Cup. That was when La Rochelle beat Leinster by 27 points to 26. After this weekend's game, it is La Rochelle that travel to Cape Town, and then they play on the 16th. They play against the Stormers in Cape Town. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we'll talk more international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's get into the highlights from Africa Good Morning's broadcast. Kenya to send 1,500 farm workers to Israel amid Hamas war. Mozambique state has received 16.5 million this year from UN Emergency Response Fund. Development Bank head at COP28 urges African exemption from EU carbon tax. SocGen agrees to sell 2 more African businesses. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for watching our show this morning. We will be back on Monday, same time, same place. We wish you a fantastic weekend ahead. We're sending you all our love, all our light.
From Aina Razakweyo and Ashwin Berry, Suraja Kanaka.